In today's video, I will turn this into this. Stay tuned to see how it's done. Well, I've been asked a few times, why do I turn all those pieces of wood that came out of a firewood pile? Well, they all didn't come out of a firewood pile, but they look like that's where they belong. So, sort of per request, I'm taking a normal looking piece of wood. It's a piece of walnut. I think it's about 8 1/4 diameter and 3 3/4 thick. Got a hole in there for a worm screw. I'm going to get it mounted up, sharpen up my bowl gouges, and try to make a much simpler bowl. So I'll be right back. So it's running pretty good at about 1300. Still not round. I'm going to round it up, bring the tool rest around, and we'll start putting a shape on it. Do this. I think I'm going to go with that. Okay, I'm going to mark for a tenon. And then I think I want the base that wide. I'll put a rim on there about like that. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and use my negative rake scraper, get it cleaned up with all tool marks, and then we'll sand it. Looks pretty good, and I think it's ready. I'm going to start with 80 grit and work my way up to probably 400. So let's get started on the sanding, and we'll be back when it's ready to flip it around. Running in reverse. It's all sanded. I'm still thinking on the finish, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it around. It's so slick, I don't know if I can get a hold of it. Got it. Yeah, let's see how this fits. Let's see how it runs without the tailstock for a minute. Wow. I don't get any better than that. I've decided I probably don't need the tailstock on this. It's not that big of a bowl, so I'm going to use my 5/8 bowl gouge and start hollowing out the inside of this. Running at 1300 RPMs. I'm going to use my little hollowing tool to start the cut back that direction. It looks like about a 3/8 wall there. So I take a little bit more off, get it nice and parallel, and then I can turn and go this direction. Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty thick right there though. I'm going to go ahead and go over the inside with my negative rake scraper, and we'll be all set to do the sanding. It's kind of hard to see anything, but we'll just do a little bit of this. Alright, that should do it. Yeah, that's good. Let me get the tool rest out of the way and we'll sand. So I'll just be able to get most of it with the 2-inch disc, and up here I may have to just use a small piece of sandpaper, but we'll do a little bit of sanding now, but I'm going to finish it up to about 400 and we'll come back and get the finish on. So that works pretty good. I'll go ahead and show you how I do the rim here on the inside. I'll just blend it in like this. And that feels real nice. Looking forward to getting some finish on this piece of wood. I think it's going to be quite pretty. I'll be back when we're ready to do that. It's all sanded up, and it's always nice to see that first coat of finish go on. So we're going to do that. I'm going to put some sanding sealer on it. And I still haven't decided for sure what I want to use for a finish. Well, this walnut was so smooth, I went to 500 grit, I think it was. It's not going to change much. But it will after I get a number of coats of finish on it. This is real light on this side, and most of it's real dark. So that's kind of a preview of what we're going to have. It's actually soaking it in quite a bit. Alright, so I'll get a few coats of this sanding sealer on, and then we'll have the finish on it, and then you'll be able to see it. Alright, time to remove the tenon. I'm going to leave about half of it because I have quite a recess here and the bottom is fairly thin, especially the way it tapers down on the inside to the middle. So I want to leave a little bit of stock there. Plus, I think it'll be a nice little decorative feature. I have my coal jaws. I'm going to use this paper towel to pad things. Don't need a lot of pressure on there, but just about like that should do it. We'll start with a 1/2 inch bowl gouge and just start shaping this. We'll take this little negative rake scraper, and that's about the right height. I believe I can sand the rest of this. Okay, that should do it. So this is a much simpler turning than what I do a lot of times. And the reason it is there were no holes, there was no cracks, there were no knots, there were no voids, there were no inclusions, and there was no bark in this piece when I started. No natural features at all other than the natural beauty of this piece of wood. And it is really a pretty piece of walnut. I turned this from a request I had to make a simple bowl and not turn one that had a bunch of holes and inclusions and knots on it, because a person is just getting started in wood turning and he wants to just see how you make a simple bowl So I think this is a fairly simple bowl. It's a lot of fun to turn. 7 inches in diameter at the widest. It's 3 11/16 inches tall, and the base is 4 3/8. And I left a little dome in the middle just because this recess was getting thin, and the inside is cupped out like a saucer, and I didn't want to take a chance on it having a real thin bottom on it. I finished it with 2 coats of sanding sealer, sanding in between each one, and then I used wipe-on poly. And I got 4 coats of wipe-on poly on in a matter of 1 day. The trick to that was I put it on with the lathe, turning real slow. I wiped the wipe-on poly on lightly, and then I wiped it off until all I had was a shine. A little electric heater going in between coats, and I did get 4 coats on in a day, and it's just glassy smooth. But the next day I used my abrasive paste and polishing paste on it, which really helps to get a nice smooth finish. And I think it's a pretty nice finish on this piece of walnut. This is just a basic shape, a basic bowl. Fairly easy to turn, and I really enjoyed turning it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And a special thanks to all my subscribers. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. If you're new to my channel and you feel so inclined, please consider subscribing. Thanks again, and until the next time, I'll see you later.